I'm going to hurry up and get started from this video because it is hot and I am sweating like crazy. So today I'm going to be doing a book haul, as you can read by the title. I don't have that many books actually. Also, before I get into the book haul, I have been meaning to haul this book for so many videos, but I kept forgetting. This book was given to me by a subscriber. Her name is Sarah, and also these books were gifted to me by a friend. So I now have the full collection, and these are pretty much the only like folk of the air collections I really cared about having anyways, like the black editions and these, because the other ones are kind of ugly. But back to the video, because I just really kept forgetting to haul those, and I'm sure like because I already put them up, but I hate not putting up my books, which is why I try to film my whatever. Anyways, let's just get into this haul so I can put these books on my bookshelves finally. So the first book I have is Empire of Silence. Dude, I paid $40 for this book. Like, this book is so hard to find. So this book is a sci-fi book. It's about this guy, and basically his family is like essentially a king and queen, and he doesn't like, he knows that he's not going to be next up in royalty. Like, he knows it's going to be his brother, and he wants to do something else that his father doesn't approve of. So he ends up going to do it anyways because he's like, yeah, who cares about what my dad wants? So I gave this book like 3.5 stars, and I still do plan to continue on with the series, especially because I already spent $40 on it. I do not regret spending $40 on this book. Like, this book is so pretty, and I did really enjoy reading it, and I really like the main character. But I think it's one of those books where as you read the series, you'll start to love the book more. The next book I have is Spanish Love Deception, which I also read. I gave this one, I think, 4 out of 5 stars. And this one is about this girl who has to go to Spain for her sister's wedding, and her sister is marrying her ex-boyfriend's brother. So that means her ex-boyfriend is going to be there, and she can't show up without a date. So Aaron Blackford, the love interest, is like pushing to go to this wedding for her, and then like the first half of this book is him trying to convince her, and then she finally gives into it and they go to the wedding. And it's pretty long, it's 400 pages, but I promise you will not regret it. Like, the banter is so good. Like, I knew from chapter 1 that I was gonna mess with this book, and the banter is like the best banter I've read ever. I just ended up giving it 4 stars because it was so long, and I don't think romance books need to be over like 310 pages, but even romance books are pushing it. Like, even most of the romance books I give 5 stars are pushing it. That's the only reason why I gave it 4 stars. The next book is Such a Quiet Place, and I actually just read this. I'm trying to decide if I want to give it back to Target or not. I liked it, but it was like $20, and it was only like I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I did really enjoy this book though. It's a thriller, and it's about this small town. Ruby comes back to this town. She's just been released from prison, and slowly you reveal why she was living there, and the people in this town really are standoffish now that she's back. And it slowly is revealing why she was in prison, and I did enjoy this book. I just think that the ending was such a cop-out. It made me really mad, but I did like reading about the small town and how everyone had their own secrets, and just the different personalities in this book in general, which is so good. Like I said, the ending was just such a cop-out. It just made me mad, but it was a pretty good ending though. Like, I did really like this book, and it was fun, and it was quick. I listened to it at work. It was really fast. Next book I have is The Turnabout, and I think this is a thriller. This was sent to me by Putnam. I don't know what this is about, but like I said, it was sent to me by Putnam. So it is a ballet book though, so I kept it because usually when I get books that are sent to me that I don't care about, I don't haul them. But I kept this one because it is a ballet book, and with Tiny Pretty Things, I did learn that I do like ballet books. The next book I have is Red Wolf, and this book is so much smaller than I thought it would be. But this book is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, and I pre-ordered this book, and before I thought this book was going to be something else, but then by the time I got it and read the description, I realized it wasn't really what I wanted. Like, I want like an actual like Little Red Riding Hood retelling, you know, like somehow a wolf is involved, something. Like, all these Little Red Riding Hood retellings we're getting don't really involve that. Like, this one involves like the women in the town being little, like the wolf and secretly, and her having to choose between like her love and something. Like, I want a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, like not something like, please just give that to me. I'll probably still read it because I already bought it, and I was really excited for it, so I'm still gonna read it. And I'll probably still end up liking it, hopefully. I am really judgy about my YA fantasy books. The next books, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I was scammed for. So recently I have been reading Fear Street. I watched the Fear Street movies. I was absolutely obsessed with them. So I decided that I wanted to read the Fear Street books and collect them because they are hard to find. Girl, I go on Etsy and I'm like, oh my gosh, these books, first of all, some of them are expensive. Some of these are selling for $20. So I buy them. Why did they come in this size? This is a mass market paperback size. I wanted a paperback size. I paid like $17 for both of these. Like, mass market paperbacks, do you know how easy those are to find? Like, what am I gonna do with these? Like, I'm probably still gonna read them because I did pay a lot of money for them, and these Fear Street books are fun. I'm just mad that what I envisioned for my collection I'm gonna have to redo. Like, I don't mind having them, and I guess now that I have them I can buy more in this size, but it's like I'm gonna have to redo the vision that I had for my Fear Street shelf. And so the next book, I literally could not wait to haul for you guys. I could not save the box. Everything that I got from the box is like all over here. I do have something here to show you guys, but like something right here to show you guys, but this is the second book box I've ever ordered, like myself, the second book box I've ever paid for. I do not pay for special edition book boxes unless I really mess with the series. So I want y'all to know how much, okay? I do buy special edition books, but they're books I can find off Amazon. This is my second one. The first one was Daily Education, so I only do them for favorite books, okay? Just so y'all know how serious I am about this. I don't just be spending my money on editions, okay? Like, I literally only spend them on ones that I have read and loved. And y'all, this is so beautiful. Like, look at this. And then the back. And I love From Blood and Ash. Love the second book. And they are releasing the other editions. I don't know if I want them because the third book, I did not like the third book, and I'm gonna have to read the fourth book to see if I still want to continue on with this series or not. But none of that will ever change how I feel about the first two books. Like, I will literally always love the first two books. But like, look how beautiful this is. And then under the dust jacket is so beautiful. And then it also came with, you know, some stuff like a book dust jacket that I did not care about. Like, it came with like it's like a book sleeve dust jacket. I didn't care. I cannot wait to put this on my shelf, bro. It came with a letter opener dagger, which I am obsessed with. And it also came with this beautiful poster. Like, oh my gosh. Where to put it though, so I just have it up on a bookshelf. And the next book I have is Six Crimson Cranes, and I did read a book by this author last month. I forgot what it was, but it was Spin the Dawn. It's also set in that same world, and I didn't hate Spin the Dawn. It just didn't live up to my expectations, but I decided to read Six Crimson Cranes because I really like the idea of this book, and it's set in the same world, and I found the world really interesting and the magic really interesting, and I know going into this book what to expect. The reason why I didn't like Spin the Dawn is because it gave me what I was looking for in the first few chapters of the book, like the first 50%, and then the last 50% kind of spin off into something that I wasn't really prepared for or didn't really care for. So with Six Crimson Cranes, like, I know what I'm going into, and it's about this girl and her brothers end up getting turned into swans. And I think this one, she also, like, there's also a guy in here, and he's like it's basically giving monster boyfriend, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Not her brothers, not the brothers, but you know, with the guy she ends up becoming interested in. So I'm really intrigued to read this book, and I'm so excited. It's also it's a lot shorter than what I expected, but I don't own Spin the Dawn, so I don't know why I expected it to be taller. And then I bought the last argument of Kings, which is the third book in the Blade Itself series. I do not own the second book because Amazon didn't send it, and I needed my money. I needed the $11 for something else, so I just took the refund option. But once I read the Blade Itself, I'm gonna buy it. I keep putting it off because I'm just not really in the mood for adult fantasy right now, but I also am in the mood for adult fantasy after it's been a while for me not reading it. And I got If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, and this was sent to me by Disney Book Group. Now this book I do want to read because it's a romance book. I didn't like her book Dumpling because I didn't like Dumpling as a character, but I did like the follow-up book. I think I do enjoy the author's writing, so I'm really excited to see like where this book goes, especially because it's a romance, so I'm really excited. And then next I got Blood Air, which was sent to me by Jocelyn, my bestie, my booktube bestie. I taped her note in here. It says, "You deserve the world, but my broke ass can't afford that." Here's a pretty cover. Like, she's literally so sweet, and yeah, it's just so, I love the cover. Okay, and I put this in my wish list because this was I read another book by Alona Andrews. They're a husband and wife duo. I read another book by them and I really liked it, so I said, okay, well, I do want to read the Kate Daniels series at one point, and I know that their books are hard to find the longer they like go on, so I was like, okay, well, I need to get this as soon as possible, and I actually ended up getting it, and this is going to push me to read the Kate Daniels series so I can get to this beautiful cover. And like I said, I love, this is a paranormal romance, like urban fantasy book, and I do want to get into more urban fantasies. Like, I love the ones I've read, and I love the other book by Alona Andrews I've read. So then I have The Dragon and the Queen, which I had this in my wish list, but I forgot it came out this month, and this was actually gifted to me by Anne Marie. This is one of my friends on book Twitter. She's really nice. I think everyone was sending me books because, if you didn't know, me and my boyfriend broke up, so I think everyone was just sending me books because I was sad and to help me feel better. But honestly, I really appreciate it. Like, thank you. The next book I have is a Fate of Wraith and Flame, and this is written by K.A. Tucker. I read another book by K.A. Tucker, but it was under a pen name, and it was like a dark romance kind of book, and it was like very smutty, so I know Miss Girl is good with her smut. So hopefully she put smut in this, because like I said, I know she's good with her smut. And this one is a fantasy romance, and I'm trying to read more fantasy romance books so I can do a recommendations video, or maybe I'll do a reading vlog with them or something with fantasy romance, because I like that genre, and the genre is starting to become more popular and people are starting to write in that genre more. I also cannot wait to read this book. I don't want to put my fingers on it because it's one of those covers, those matte covers where if you touch it, there's already like stuff on it. But the Final Girl Support Group, so I read this as an ARC in like April, and I loved it. And Grady Hendrix is now my favorite author, because, you know, if you don't know, I have a rule where I cannot call an author unless I've read and loved 3 of their books, and it cannot be in the same series, because that does not count. Okay, because you can write a good series, but the next books you come out with could be a little questionable. So I can now call Grady Hendrix is the only person I can call my favorite author. Like, I can't call Holly Black my favorite author. Once Margaret Rogerson drops her next book, then I can call her my favorite author after I read it and like it. Because I've already read the first like 150 pages. I already read the first 2 pages of the book, and I'm living for it. But Grady Hendrix is the only person I can call my favorite author, and that's insane to me. But he really is. Like, I really love the Final Girl Support Group. This book is about this girl, and she's in this Final Girl Support Group. They all been Final Girls. They're a bit older. They're like in their 30s, 40s, and one of the Final Girls ends up dying. So she loves to self-reveal. Like, there's one thing she's gonna do is get herself out of a situation. So there's a reason why she was a Final Girl, and all the other Final Girls are kind of like, no, nothing's happening, you're tripping. But there's a reason why she's a Final Girl. Like, she knows how to get herself out of a situation and somehow throw other people under the table. And so one of them died, so now someone's coming after all of them. And I did think this book was really fun. I gave it 4 stars, and it was really enjoyable. And one thing I like about this book, as someone who loves slashers, this book was everything. And one thing I loved about this book was the fact that every character had their own slasher, had their own iconic slasher, but just rewritten to fit their character or their book. So there's like this girl whose boyfriend ends up being a serial killer, and he kills everyone for them. There's a girl who was in like the Chainsaw Massacre, and then there's a girl who has the iconic Black Christmas like storyline, and it's actually going to be turned into a TV show, which I actually am excited to see. Like, I cannot wait to see what Grady Hendrix writes next year. Like, I know this book just came out, but I need to know what he's writing next, like right now. And then the next book I have is Fear Street, the First Evil, which This one, okay, so every Fear Street book, okay, so the Fear Street shows were based off of, they were taking different things from each Fear Street books. So this one is the plot of the first Fear Street movie, the first Evil, and then I think the Wrong Cause where they got Dina's name from, and then the Surprise Parties where they got the idea of having Sam and Dina, like having Sam moved away and then Dina being like heard about it and then them coming back together, because that happens in the Surprise Party or the Surprise. And I actually really do like these Fear Street books. I don't go into them thinking I didn't go into them thinking they were going to be like the Fear Street movies, because those are, you know what, R.L. Stine, they're very much like PG, like, you know, PG rated, like very like, you know, juvenile. But when I went to this book, I've watched Fear Street, like, I mean, I've watched Goosebumps, I've watched The Haunting Hour, like, I love R.L. Stine. I never read the Goosebumps books because I was like, well, I already watched the episodes. I was a lazy reader when I was growing up, okay? So I never read the Goosebumps books, but maybe I'll do a video where I read them, because I have so many Goosebumps faves, and I'm trying to hold off until October, because every October, me, my brother, and my sister watch the Goosebumps, like, all over again, and then The Haunting Hour. So I'm trying to hold off, but I knew going into this book that it was going to be very, like, juvenile. Like, I didn't expect it to be like the movie. So for me, I wasn't really disappointed. Like, they were cute. Like, I went in with a certain mindset, and they're fun and they're fast, and I read like 7 of them in like 24 hours. So honestly, I suggest these, and they're on Kindle Unlimited, most of them. Now some I did have to buy if I really want to read them, but like I said, they are on Kindle Unlimited. Like the first, like anyone's the first, like, I think the first 5 are on Kindle Unlimited, and then the ones that the books are based off. And then there's so many Fear Street books, y'all. There are like over 150 books in the series, and there are 14 spin-offs. So have at it. Find what you can find and have at it. So the next book I have is It Happened One Summer, and this one is a Tessa Bailey book. I do like Tessa Bailey as an author, and she has the potential of becoming my favorite author. This book is supposed to be like inspired by Schitt's Creek, or the main character is inspired by Schitt's Creek. I don't know what else like this book is about, but I do plan to read it on my vacation that I'm having this month. And the next book I have is another Fear Street book. This is a recent one. It's called Return to Fear Street, and I remember when I first heard about Fear Street like a few years ago, I did want to read this, but then I realized I had to read so many other books, so I was like, nah. And if I would have known that the Fear Street books were going to be turned into movies, I would have read them, because I like being ahead of the curve. Like, I like reading things before they get turned into a movie. But if I don't read them before they get turned into a movie or a show, like, that doesn't stop me. Like, I'll still read it and still probably enjoy it, but I like to be ahead of the curve. Like, you know, say that as I still haven't read Dune, and it's coming out in like 2 months. So the next book I have is The Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen, and I read these books in June, and I really love them. So The Bridge Kingdom is about this girl and 12 of her sisters. She knows, her and her 12 sisters knows that one day they're gonna have to fight a battle, and they're all gonna have to die, and their father are forcing them to do this. Like, it's not a kingdom thing, this is their father, and they're all gonna have to die. So to save them, the main character poisons all of them, and she goes off to marry the king, because that's why they had to fight each other. And she goes to marry the king, and she doesn't really want to beat the king, and she's always poisoning somebody. That's why I like her, because she reminds me like Jude Duarte, like a good, like a protagonist but an antagonist, you know, like very like anti-hero era, and I love that. And this is what I wish I would have got from The Shadows Between Us by whatever the author name is. And then the second book was really good, and it's gonna be like a 5-book series. So I really hope that the author really gets on giving us the next book soon, because I think the next book is supposed to come out in August, and we have no title, no cover, or no actual date. So like, the author really needs to get on that. The last book I have is a special edition. I didn't buy this from it's a Fairy Loot special edition. I didn't buy it from Fairy Loot. I read it first and then I bought it, because I have this rule where, like, I would rather read a book and search through the depths of hell to find it than to read a book and then to buy the special edition just because and then read it. Because I mean, if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. I'm not judging. Personally, for me, I am a really harsh reader. Like, I don't like everything I read. I don't like majority of things I read. I don't like everything I read, so I don't want to be spending money on these books and then I don't buy it. So for me, it makes more sense to read it first and then struggle finding it. But luckily, this one was not a struggle. To be honest, I used to just tweet out, is any, like, I'm looking for this copy, and then if someone finds it, they find it, and if they don't, then I go looking through like Depop, Etsy. But this book, it wasn't that hard to find. I literally tweeted out, I'm looking for the Prison Healer Fairy Loot edition. and somebody was like, here, I'll sell it to you for $30. So thank you to Melissa for selling this to me. I really like this cover. I don't have the original copy. I might get it if I see myself rereading this. I did order the Fairy Loot edition for the second book because I really like the third book, and then based off how I feel about the second book, then I'll buy the first books, because with YA fantasy I just have to be a bit more like strict on my buying, because I'm not likely to like everything that I read in YA fantasy, and I know that. So anyways, this copy is so pretty. It has the sprayed edges. I'm so obsessed with this copy, and I love this book. This book was so good. And then we have this cover, and then we have this on the inside. And like I said, I'm so happy I bought this. Literally could not wait to put this up on my shelf, like literally. So thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.